A day in the life of an INFJ mind. Today, I want to take you somewhere most people never see. Inside the mind of an INFJ. Not as a stereotype, not as a meme, but as a lived experience that unfolds quietly beneath the surface of everyday life. A world where thoughts weave into patterns too subtle for the untrained eye. Where emotions echo like distant thunder. And where intuition, that quiet, gentle compass, points the way long before logic has even awakened. If you're an INFJ watching this, you might recognize the strange familiarity of this journey. The feeling of hearing someone describe what you've always felt, but never quite had the words for. The silent relief of knowing that your inner world has never been as strange, as complicated, or as too much as others made you believe. And if you're not an INFJ, this video may give you a compassionate window into the mind of someone who sees the world not only as it is, but as it could be, and sometimes, as it should be. So let's step into it, gently, and follow an INFJ. From the very first moment they wake up, until the last quiet second before sleep. 1. Walking into the noise. The day begins long before the world outside is awake. INFJs often wake with a mind already humming. Not loudly, not chaotically, but with an inner dialogue that has apparently been running all night. As if dreaming were simply another form of planning, reflecting, and decoding. Before their eyes even open, the INFJ senses things. The atmosphere of the room, the emotional tone lingering from yesterday, the subtle intuition of how the day will unfold. It's not magic. It's pattern recognition at a depth that rarely surfaces for others. It's a kind of knowing without needing the sequence of reasoning first. A kind of emotional weather report forming under the skin. And as they rise, there's often a moment of quiet disconnect. The soft ache of re-entering a world that moves faster, asks louder, and feels heavier than the world inside their mind. But INFJs are experts at quiet preparation. Every movement, turning on the light, making the bed, pouring water, carries a sense of ceremony, an attempt to create order before stepping into the chaos. 2. Morning reflections, the internal compass. While others rush through routine, the INFJ begins the day with reflection. Not intentionally, it happens almost automatically. Thoughts drift in slow waves, touching memories, future possibilities, and subtle impressions that don't quite have names. There's often a sense of emotional responsibility. Before anything even happens. Who might need me today? What do I sense brewing beneath someone's words? What can I do to ease the tensions I can already feel on the horizon? INFJs think in layers, each thought connected to a deeper web that branches into meaning, symbolism, and emotional resonance. They don't just think what will happen. They think why, and what it says, and what it means for everyone involved. Even simple tasks like deciding what to wear carry emotional undertones. Who will I encounter? What version of myself does today require? What energy am I going to carry into the spaces around me? It isn't vanity. It's identity shaping. A thoughtful calibration of self-expression, aligned with intention. 3. Entering the world, feeling everything too deeply. INFJs step into the outside world, with antennae quietly raised, absorbing more than they intend. Not because they want to, but because their mind naturally scans environments, like a radar for emotional frequencies. Where others see faces, the INFJ sees emotional states. A coworker's forced smile, a friend's distracted tone, a stranger's slump of the shoulders. Tiny details, gestures, and vocal tensions that most would label nothing scream meaning to an INFJ. This isn't mind reading, and it isn't supernatural. It's attunement, a lifelong habit of picking up micro-expressions, subtle pauses, and emotional vibrations that reveal truths behind the scenes. To an INFJ, people are stories. Stories in motion. Stories in conflict. Stories searching for resolution, even if they don't know it yet. And while this intuitive awareness can be a gift, it can also be exhausting, because it makes the INFJ responsible for emotional ecosystems they never agreed to manage. 4. The mask, the necessary performance. Despite their sensitivity, INFJs often appear calm, articulate, and put together. It's not an act of deception. It's survival. They can mirror social expectations beautifully, like stepping into a role that has been rehearsed silently for years. Their empathy gives them insight into what others need to see, what will make them comfortable, what will make interactions smooth. But behind the composed exterior, the INFJ mind is often running quiet calculations. Is this person being genuine? What's the underlying intention here? Am I safe to express myself fully right now? And the truth is, they rarely feel safe enough to reveal the depth of their thoughts. So they speak selectively, dose their insights carefully, and hide their emotional complexity behind warm smiles and thoughtful nods. Only a few people, if any, ever get to see the unfiltered version. 5. The INFJ at work, the inner world versus the outer demands. Whether at school, at a job, or in creative work, INFJs often struggle with environments that require constant small talk, surface-level exchanges, or efficiency without meaning. When an INFJ works, they don't just complete tasks. They search for purpose. They want to understand how something contributes to the bigger picture, how it impacts others, how it aligns with their internal values. Without meaning, their energy drains rapidly, like pouring water into sand. But give an INFJ a task that feels purposeful, ethical, or creatively expressive, and they become unstoppable, intensely focused, deeply committed, willing to pour their entire heart into the mission. And yet, even on good days, they need moments of retreat, a quiet pause to breathe away the emotional static they've absorbed from others. 6. Midday exhaustion, the empath's weight. Around midday, while others are energized, INFJs may feel subtly worn down, not from physical effort, but from emotional saturation. They replay conversations. They analyze meanings behind words. They sense future conflicts before they arise. They process emotional tension that was never theirs to carry, but somehow became theirs anyway. And this is where the INFJ's inner world becomes both sanctuary and burden. They retreat into introspection, not to escape responsibility, but to sort and filter and make sense of everything that has passed through their perception. This inward turn is not laziness. It is maintenance, a necessary recalibration to protect the mind and heart from overload. 7. The secret inner realm, a landscape no one sees. When an INFJ finally finds a quiet moment, their mind opens in ways few people ever witness. They drift into daydreams, rich with symbolism, stories, scenes that feel almost cinematic. They explore philosophical questions that stretch far beyond the moment. They reflect on their identity, their life direction, their relationships, their purpose. And in this internal world, they feel free. Free to imagine without limits, free to create without judgment, free to exist without containing themselves, for the comfort of others. This is the place where INFJs restore their strength, where creativity flows effortlessly, where intuition draws connections that make perfect sense, despite having no logical trail. This is where the INFJ becomes whole again. 8. Interactions with loved ones, the quiet depth of care. When INFJs care about someone, they care profoundly, not loudly, not extravagantly, but with an emotional loyalty that often goes unnoticed. They remember the small things, the emotion behind someone's words, the quiet dreams they mentioned once, the fears they tried to hide, the way their voice shifts when they're hurting. INFJs show love by understanding you deeply, often more deeply than you understand yourself. But this depth also comes with pain. INFJs often feel responsible for others' emotional well-being, sometimes to a degree that drains them silently. And yet, when they connect with someone who sees them clearly, who listens without judgment, who values their insights, the INFJ's inner light burns brighter. Their guardedness softens, and they share the depth of their soul in ways that are rare, intense, and unforgettable. 9. Evening reflection, the autopsy of the day. As the day winds down, the INFJ enters another cycle of reflection, not out of anxiety, but out of habit, a need to understand to learn, to synthesize meaning. They revisit conversations, replay moments of intuition, question their impact on others, and examine their decisions. Like analyzing brushstrokes on a canvas. Did I help enough? Did I say something wrong? Why did that person feel off today? What patterns am I noticing beneath the surface? It isn't overthinking. It's analysis with purpose. A deep-seated desire to understand the emotional architecture of the day's experiences. 10. Nightfall, returning to the self. Finally, the world quiets. The emotional noise fades. And the INFJ returns home. Not just physically, but internally. This is the time when they reconnect with their true essence. The part of themselves that often has to stay hidden during the day. They journal. They create. They imagine. They question. They dream while awake. It's here that their intuition whispers the loudest, guiding them toward what they want, what they fear, what their soul is trying to become. And as they prepare for sleep, the INFJ mind begins to soften, drifting back into that quiet inner universe, where insights weave into dreams, and dreams weave into tomorrow. If you are an INFJ listening to this is your gentle reminder that the depth of your mind is not a curse, or a flaw, or an inconvenience. It is a rare and beautiful gift, one that allows you to see meaning where others see routine, feel truth where others feel noise, and understand people in ways that heal, uplift, and quietly transform the spaces around you. Your mind is not too much. It is precisely what it is meant to be. And if this video resonated with you, it's because you already know, deep down, that your inner world has always been vast, sacred, and full of quiet power. Thank you for walking through this day with me. There is more to your mind than most will ever know, but you've always carried it with strength.